Iowa leads the nation in pig farming. You've heard that before, right? But what image do you have in your head when it comes to today's pig farmers? Hollywood has a version which usually has someone like Kevin Costner doing it all. Absent are the women. And yet, it was women who kept the farm going when men went off to fight in World War II. Women who built community gardens to feed the needy even after the ravages of war. Then, just like today, women who focus on family, connection, and building partnerships are too often the silent superheroes of agriculture. They may not wear a superhero cape, but they do plenty of heavy lifting. They help build the legacy of stewardship on their farm and beyond. Today in ChopTalk, let's hear from some of the women supporting pig farming in Iowa. Farmers like Michelle Ehlers, whose family raises pigs in northwestern Iowa. Michelle's commitment to farming and family is rivaled only by her enthusiasm for conservation. For her, the inspiration literally came blowing in on the wind more than 20 years ago.
We had a lot of wind that spring, and I remember one day coming out after a particularly windy event, which happens a lot here in Iowa, but I walked out onto my porch and holy cow, it was covered in dirt, like a quarter inch, and it's an enclosed porch. It wasn't like an open deck or anything. It's totally enclosed. I was like, what in the world? Where did this come from? I mean, I knew where it did, but how did this happen?
Wow.
That was kind of my first eye-opening to how weather can move soil. Mike started looking at ways we could disturb the soil less as we applied that manure. And eventually it led us to a low disturbance injection. Instead of like trenching and tearing it up, it kind of put a nice slit in the ground and covered it up. So it was just a lot less soil disturbance.
Maintaining less disturbance on the soil isn't a job that's easily done. And what works on one field doesn't necessarily work on another. So Michelle and her family kept studying, learning, and adding.
That was one of the first practices Mike did, and less than a third disturbed. You know, I laugh. My husband also does strip tillage, and he walks around proudly with his "I'm 1/3 disturbed" T-shirt all over.
I want one too.
I'm like, well, I probably need a 2/3 disturbed shirt.
I do for different reasons, but yes, absolutely.
Yeah. But anyway, that was kind of the first step we took, into a more aggressive conservation program. And it wasn't because of what happened that spring in 2004, but it's just those things that got me thinking, this isn't the ground I was raised on. We have to take care of it in a different way. And I think that can be said of all ground. You have to look at your surroundings and see what are the vulnerabilities of the soil and what are ways we can implement to try to protect it, because we do see benefit when it stays on our farm. In 2015, we started applying cover crops, and there's a lot of good guys from Iowa that have been doing it much longer than that. But that was our first dip into putting a rye on ground. And we've had that since then every year, flown on, with an airplane, or maybe applied through the corn with a Hagee, with a big machine. And we've seen good success from that, especially if we can catch a rain after we get it on the ground. And what was really cool this winter is we've had some warmer temperatures, and you guys probably have too. Our rye will, if we have like 2 days in the 30s, it'll start to perk up and get green just out in the field. And I'm not used to seeing color in the middle of January.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. And most recently, they added a bioreactor.
Mike and his dad put in a bioreactor. And a bioreactor is just a way, think of a water filter on your water bottle. It's a way to filter the water before it hits that creek, that tributary. And most farms in Iowa, especially in our area, have some tiles underground that help drain away water. From what I hear, a lot of the areas up here were lower ground, so would hold water. And you can't really grow much of a crop on places that don't drain well. And so tiles are a way to get the water from the field to a tributary, to a creek, to a dredge ditch. But before it goes into a dredge ditch, we have a buffer strip around this farm that the landowner put in many years ago. And a buffer strip is just grass. So it lets things kind of absorb into, another way for runoff to absorb into before it hits that creek. And a bioreactor, then the tile drains into it. It goes through a big area of wood chips that kind of sucks out that nitrate. And then it goes back out through a tile into the North Raccoon.
Michelle has made water quality a family affair. She even puts her kids to work to measure progress using test strips at the source.
It is kind of eye-opening, and it's kind of fun then to see the reduction that happens with some of these practices. So this field in particular has cover crops, low disturbance manure, strip tillage, a buffer strip, and a bioreactor. And they're able to get it lower than anything that you would ever drink.
That's amazing.
We can get all of it out.
In the end, it's about thinking long range to build a legacy.
When you plant a tree, whether that be in the city or the country, you know it's going to take decades to see the benefit fully realized, but you do it because you want it there for the next generation, especially on a farm. We have a lot of century farms up here in this area. And, you know, when you see somebody in their 50s and 60s going out and putting out evergreens, they're doing it, one, to build, a windblock for their farm, but they're also doing it because they see the value of it, even if they don't fully realize it during their lifetime. And taking care of the ground is something that we should do, even though we don't fully realize God never promises me tomorrow. I don't know, but I do it because I care about who's going to be taking it over in the next generation. It's a blessing to be able to farm up here. And so we do whatever we can so that the next generation isn't trying to fix what maybe we unintentionally made a mess of. And with manure, it is a great natural resource. I mean, it is made by pigs. It has the benefits of the chemicals that you would buy at your co-op, but it can be reused. It's reusable. And so by putting it in the ground and knowing exactly how much through testing, that manure, and through using GPS testing in a field and finding out where our deficiencies are for our nutrients, we can increase or decrease the amount we put, and right in the strip, right where we're going to need it, worked in well, so it's not too hot.
Yeah.
We can do that and be good stewards of not just our ground, but our hog operation. It is, like you said earlier, a full circle for us.
That full circle has a team of experts, researchers, academics, and hands-on help to keep growing conservation practices. It takes dedication and sometimes a lot of what we like to call windshield time for people like Erica Lane, an environmental service manager for Iowa Select. Erica works with farmers in southern Iowa.
So my territory ranges anywhere between anything south of 80 in Mahaska and Keokuk County all the way over to Pottawatomie County. So I have a pretty wide range area down here, but I really enjoy it, and it allows me to travel the countryside to visit farmers down here in southern Iowa.
But before you ask, no, Erica didn't grow up on a pig farm.
I actually grew up in eastern Iowa on a cow-calf row crop operation. And after I graduated high school, I attended Iowa State University, where I got a degree in animal science. Now, when I went to Iowa State, I had absolutely no pig experience whatsoever, but I had really great mentors and professors at Iowa State that really grew my passion for the pig industry. And it allowed me a lot of opportunities within internships, study abroads, leadership groups, etc., that really drew my passion towards it. So after graduating at Iowa State, I ended up getting back into the pork industry as a full-time career. And so the position I'm in now, I've only been in for a little over 2 years. And prior to this role, I was in production here at Iowa Select Farms as well.
And get this, her job has her working with manure every day.
Yeah, so there's a lot of pieces that go into my role. We pretty much manage the manure when it becomes manure in the barn to when it is applied onto the field. And that can range from DNR inspections, right? Pit measurements, so we know the accurate measurement in those pits. It could involve the manure management plan and making sure that's updated, which we have to send to the county and the DNR for all the information. And pretty much what the MMP, the manure management plan, shows is that we are following all the rules and regulations that the DNR puts forth in front of us to follow when we are applying that manure onto that ground, and that we are following the 4R stewardship, which is right source, right rate, right time, and right place. And so it really ensures that we're doing the right thing at the right time and being able to apply this manure. And so being able to handle all of that and working with these pig farmers, in reality, they're the experts at it. They're the ones out there doing it every day. It's their ground, it's their fertility, it's their organic nutrients that they're able to apply into that ground, And so I go out and talk to them, and I can provide insight and oversight of what we're doing, but they're the experts, and I really try to be open-minded and learn from them as well.
And consumers expect that above and beyond because, let's face it, there are a lot of questions and misinformation about one of nature's earliest fertilizers.
I would probably have to say, there's so much speculation around hog manure and what we're doing. And there's a lot of people don't understand it. And we need to do a better job of explaining it to them so they can understand it, And I would say, when we think about manure, we handle it and we take it with great pride. It's one of our, at Iowa Select Farms, it's one of our 4 select care pillars here, which is people care, environmental care, animal care, and community care. So we take it very seriously here. And when we think of manure, we think of soil health. And when we think of soil health, that improves water quality. And so the biggest thing, an aspect that is kind of misleading onto manure and pig farmers is that we're not replenishing good water quality, and manure actually can help improve that versus commercial fertilizer because it does improve your soil health because it's all organic manure, organic fertilizer, and it's holding that nutrients into that ground because majority of it is injected and it's not going to be able to run off when you have a wind event or a weather event. And so being able to hold that nutrients into that ground and replenish that soil is just going to improve soil health, water quality, and overall the soil structure of that field.
There is now and always will be a role in the Iowa pig farming community for other women like Erica. Remember, Iowa raises more pigs than any other state in the nation. And hey, although the technologies evolve, our taste for bacon and all other things pork remain. It's motivation for young minds searching for careers.
Yeah, you asked me where I thought I would be in 10 years. And when I think about me, I also think about the pig industry. Where's the pig industry going to be in 10 years? And like I said earlier, technology is huge and farmers are really picking up onto that, and pig farmers, they want to do better. They want to see what they can do better. And technology is going to be one thing that's really going to help evolve that, and to push that forward. So I really think technology is really going to drive the future of this industry. And it's really exciting to see because I think that's just going to open up more opportunities to bring other people in.
Technology also drives another young woman's job, Samantha DeWitt. As co-owner for AgVice, it's her job to work with pig farmers across the state and encourage them to embrace the challenge of conservation. She is also inspired by the opportunities of technology.
What do you think is the biggest misunderstanding that people who don't farm might have about pig farming?
A lot of the issues that I get into in my position is with maybe some folks that aren't necessarily from a farm and don't understand, the technology that goes into these facilities. We have had issues in the past with certain sites where there are some neighbor complaints. And so it's really important to just be open and have that line of communication there and not try and shut the door to anybody that has a question. Really be on the side of education and reaching out and being, very visible and transparent on what kind of technologies that we're implementing on these farms.
Samantha says her job has evolved, just as pig farming has evolved.
Well, this isn't the farmer taking his 6 pigs in the back of the pickup to the market anymore. This is a large scale, operation. And the reason these need to be is so that we can feed and provide for the world. There's a large population of people that depend on this product, and not just the meat from the pigs, but all of the other products that can be obtained from an animal.
And the jobs.
And the careers and the utilization of the manure as a nutrient source for the crops that feed the pigs. It really is a circle of life. And it's important to have, this diversity within agriculture as an industry as a whole, and to be able to, provide for the world.
People probably don't realize how much pig farming has evolved in the last 20 years, even 30 years.
I really see this as a way of the future for young farmers, especially wanting to return to the family farm. There aren't necessarily as many family operations as there were 50 years ago because the farm size has increased and therefore the need for operators has decreased. So this is really a good opportunity for young farmers to diversify their farm and justify being able to come home to the family farm and continue that tradition on for their family and their children and future generations.
There are more than 147,000 jobs in this state tied to pig farming. More of them are held by women than you probably realize. They help raise the pigs, sure, but they also help raise the bar of expectations about life on the farm and the impacts of farming in their communities, their counties, and beyond. It takes a team to raise pigs. Keeping them healthy also takes a team. Animal care, on the farm, and beyond. I'm Lori Johns. Animal care is the topic of our next Chop Talk. Won't you join me?